And we're suddenly live on the Metal Lab this week. So I'm joined with a shorter house this week. We have Tom.
Hello.
Throwing jazz hands and drinking wine, I hope.
Whiskey.
And a fancy glass. And we have Jay.
Hello.
Not drinking awesome wine in a fancy glass.
Despise wine.
It's a brandy snifter, technically.
Brandy snifter, whiskey. None of it works still. All right, and I got a whole bunch of ad reads here. First off, we're brought to you by our new sponsor, hcatlas.com, where you can check out, get a subscription for monthly custom maps made by one of the top 8 players at the ROC Worlds. So check it out, hcatlas.com. You can subscribe for $25 a month, and that'll get you a new map every month. The first month is Gettysburg, and we're hoping to see that on the channel very shortly. In fact, Wes is going to be sending us one, and Amber and I were going to be playing some of our casual games on those maps. As well, we are also brought to you in part by hcrealms.com, where you can check out, of course, the units section, the forums. It's an awesome source for Heroclix information, as well as the units section is a great tool for building your team. And while you're there, click on the shop button. Check out some of the cool Heroclix paraphernalia that they have. And on the way out, type in the coupon code MARRIED for 10% off of your purchase. And we're also a longtime sponsor in Majestics-CCG.com. Check out their new site, Majestics-CCG.com/Apex-Predators to see all the cool new stuff from their new premium site. There's going to be a subscription service at $3 per month, with the first month being free. You get access to some articles written by some fantastic players, some of them better than others, some of them just people who are on camera, when you include myself. Mike of the channel is going to be writing some articles as well, and we have, of course, Patrick will be writing some articles. Patrick Yavoko, former world champion, teen world champion, rock world champion.
Yeah, superstar.
As well as Aaron Cantu and some other awesome players. So check that out again. That's Majestics-CCG.com/Apex-Predators. So that was about the most exciting part of the week.
True, isn't it? Absolutely nothing has happened in the world of Heroclix this week.
Yeah. Until this past weekend, as a matter of fact, though.
Did we get any previews or anything? Have we heard from WizKids?
WizKids, all the noise has been the Clicks It Up articles about Superman and Wonder Woman in the past couple weeks. So nothing too exciting as far as previews. We're getting into that holiday wind-down period. I think more action has happened in Dice Masters, and they're starting to wind down too. As we hit December and January for Heroclix, it kind of goes into a little bit of a slow period, so that everybody can, enjoy the holidays. We can go and fight for our abominable snowmen, and we come back to January and February, where we'll start to hopefully hear some noise about World's Finest.
Well, people used to start at the end of the month, so has to happen sometime.
Yeah, or we might just get all the spoilers from all the pre-releases. Who knows? So with that said, our friends over at 2 Clicks from KO did get the advance notice, and we're first to hear about the results of the first ROC Super Qualifier to be held in the new limited format. Now, we had, of course, our Winamap at the 1st of November, but, of course, that's just a local size tournament. When you get into a Super Qualifier, you get into a larger tournament. And we're talking about a tournament that was hosted in North Carolina and had players from California. I'm going to pull that up right now, as a matter of fact, because I am the king of preparedness today.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. The Crown Prince of Preparedness is all over it. 2 Clicks from KO. Actually, you know what? I sent it to Tom. And I'm just going to go with this conversation I had with Tom.
Someone started a petition for Tom and I to write Majestics articles.
That petition will have 2 names on it.
Tom and Jay both in support of Tom.
He gets my vote first, that's true.
You know what? Only if his articles include his wonderful, sultry voice.
Yes, it's true. I'll read them all. They'll be downloadable. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Heroclix Corner with Tom.
I'm calling it Heroclix After Dark with that kind of an awesome voice. All right. So
I'm calling Heroclix sexual harassment.
So we're going to go to the bottom, start at the bottom here, and go up. So in the top 8, between 5th and 8th, we have Easton Brock with his team that contains Midnighter, the Fast Forces Captain America's motorcycle, Rocket Raccoon, and the Phalanx Ultron drone with the Hulkbuster's left leg. Now, myself, at first glance, I'm not 100% familiar. Well, and of course, I need to do research, so I'm going to do that on my phone while I'm here. Midnight is not a figure I'm 100% familiar with, but I think, Jay, you know a bit.
He's a close combat monster. His trait is basically when he makes a close combat attack, he ignores all modifiers and then gives them a net -1, so he ignores reflexes. Charge, flurry, stealth, 11 and 3. He has outwit, exploit, and when he uses outwit on an adjacent opposing character, he has gains plasticity and can't be ignored for movement. So he's just a close combat beast. 17 reflexes and toughness also from his special powers.
All right, and he was from the Flash set, right?
Flash set, yeah, Authority.
Midnighter. Okay.
And that's the Captain America from the original Avengers set that gives the free move actions to shared keyword dudes, which is this is a soldier themed team.
Yeah, I didn't know Midnighter was a soldier. I think that's
he is for some reason.
All right, so initial thoughts here. Let's go with Tom first.
I like that we're going to start to see, if not a theme, then certainly this isn't the last time that we'll see an Ultron drone and a vehicle. And why not? They're a great combination. I also love the fact that we're taking advantage of the opportunity to bring on the vehicle with Captain America to avoid theme. Although, does this motorcycle have this soldier keyword theme anymore, or soldier keyword anyway? I don't know.
I'm not.
They all do, and the motorcycle doesn't break theme because of the trait.
That's what I meant. Yeah, it's nice to see that trait actually being used as intended, which is very cool. Yeah, it's a nice little close combat destruction team. I think it's cool. Even though I know the Ultron drone is heading towards that motorcycle, I think it's neat that Fast Force Captain America's ability to give people move actions is a power in the damage slot. So hypothetically, if he wanted to jump on his own motorcycle, he could still use it. Not bad if somebody manages to alpha your Ultron drone. You can.
I thought it was only standard powers.
Is it? I didn't think so, but I could be wrong. I haven't read in a long time, or I haven't tried.
I have no clue. I barely touched the new vehicle rules. I could be wrong, but last I remembered.
I think it is it is limited to standard powers. Yes.
Okay.
Which is why Nick Fury just doesn't go on his own space rig.
That's fair. I also like the fact that, as you say, Midnighter is all about close combat dominance. Rocket Raccoon is a ranged piece ultimately. I mean, he can get the job done up close, and he's awesome there with the super prop as well. And Fast Force Captain America is largely close, but can have a little flexibility. It's a nice little, shall we say, an old school Swiss Army team with lots of new interesting twists. So that's neat.
Yeah.
Fisticuffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Jay?
Normally I would say that the Rocket is good, but a bit troubling because of Nick Fury's stealth, and it doesn't have a way to stealth bust. But it doesn't look like there's a lot of Nick Fury in this environment, so doesn't seem to be a problem.
We only see the top 8. Maybe everybody was ready for Nick Fury.
Yeah. Perhaps. It's interesting. Although I don't necessarily, I mean, it seems vulnerable to Nick to like stealth rollouts because Rocket can't really affect those.
Right.
Unless there was just not a lot of that, but like there's a lot of rollouts here, period, but they're not in stealth. Midnighter is awesome, essentially ignoring reflexes and such, and having 11 and then doing a -1 ignoring everything is pretty awesome. And then hugging people really, really tight in a not so appropriate way necessarily, and free moves, and carrying Rocket, and doing a lot of powers and actions and fun stuff.
Yeah. All right. I like I can respect the team that likes to get in there and drop the gloves. I'm Canadian, so we like hockey. It's not a team I would have come up with on my own. Not a team I'd come up with on my own for a super qualifier. But it is a really cool combination of figures. I'd probably be more likely to play this locally as opposed to on the road. It's just kind of what I see out of it. It's brawly, it's cool, and I think what the goal is to get everybody in Nick Fury's face and throw as many attacks as they possibly, close combat attacks, as they possibly can at Nick Fury to hope that you get through it all, or just kind of avoid him and kill the rest of his team. The motorcycle is there, I think, as a piece of armor for somebody on the way in. Although it could be driven by the Phalanx drone, because pulse wave coming out of the Phalanx drone could be pretty deadly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of my takeaway from it.
Maybe people are thinking that maybe people that want to play Nick Fury are not because they're anticipating him being built against.
Maybe.
I mean, the top 8 doesn't have that many of them, so I don't know.
Yeah, maybe people are. You know, one of the things I do also notice is the Ultron drones are a good way to, if you can keep your team points really low, to kind of avoid the extra bonus on Nick Fury, because they come in at 30-point cost, and then they end up being the ones that are high points, or in some cases, if they're with a Nick Fury, do end up tying the point cost, and can kind of mitigate that bonus attack and damage. Just one of those thoughts I'm kind of mulling over. Because I remember it came up in our game, Jay. And
yes. Because you had your Phalanx and your Nick Fury, and I was like, oh, wait, there's more.
Yeah, but wait, there's more!
But it's true, though. It is strange that there aren't more Nick Furies. It's kind of strange. There isn't a single Nighthawk Prime in the top 8, is there?
There is not a single Nighthawk Prime. Also, something worth noting.
Not as many ways around shape change as you would think.
Interesting. So we move on to the next team. Ben Nelson running a Silver Centurion, an Ant-Man, and a Hawkeye. This is the Avengers Assemble set main set Hawkeye at 85 points.
Yeah, that's a rarity.
He can get 14 range, so that's awesome.
Yes, yeah. You might call him Lesser Green Arrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is an Avengers themed team, not a Stark Industries. That's what
you're exactly right.
Yeah. Silver Centurion is capable of giving Nick Fury a one-shot if he can make the attack roll and get past the shape change. So that is one thing I do remember about that. I did give it a try with the Silver Centurion at one point.
You can also fire off that pulse wave torpedo and just wait.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then now the Ant-Man, of course, can change out and bring all those ants into the board too, so creating more and more targets on the board.
You can he can make Silver Centurion tiny if he wants to, depending upon which one he's using. He has the possibility of making him tiny or making him giant to either help him carry or make him harder to hit, which is useful. And those ants are great. And activating the traits that the various different versions of Hank Pym have can make those ants a formidable foe, really. They can make them faster, make them deadlier, make it so they can't get away from them easily. So.
Yeah. One of the Goliaths, I think, can even, at the 50-point line, give Jason Friendly's energy shield, so that's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeps them all in the game, especially if you can... Well, I guess nowadays you can't really put them in a position to be avoided unless you're indoor.
Yeah.
Because those new giant rules kind of make him a target outdoors. But indoors, if you can get him behind a wall and position the Hawkeye and the Silver Centurion on the outset, then you got some pretty high defenses to have to deal with.
And with the ability to basically have a pulse torpedo flying across the field combined with somebody that can shoot for 14 range, there's no incentive to go out with that team.
Yep. Stick it out. Hawkeye pokes you if you get too close. Ant-Man builds.
Come at you, and if they die, you replenish them.
So it's one of those things where at first you look at it and you go, well, I don't know, and then you start talking out each of the figures and what they're capable of, and then you start to see more and more go on.
Yeah. You got Prob from one of the Hank Pyms, right?
Or the red suit common one, yeah, or just theme probs.
Yep.
Actually, let's check that.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if that one specifically has...
At the 50-point line, he does not start with that power. He has the outwit, then he goes to the outwit prob power.
Exactly, that's what I meant.
And he also has an extra bonus of having anti-Ultron powers, so that's a pretty good thing to have in your back pocket, given what's happening now.
Yeah. I mean, there might be a few people playing Ultrons here and there. Who knows?
I don't know. Maybe Ultron drones, one or two.
I hear they're only a couple points. So yeah, this is that idea that Silver Centurion isn't quite gone yet.
It is funny though that the main reason to play Silver Centurion traditionally was always to get around the ubiquitous pulse wave. There's not much pulse wave around in this particular top 8 though, so definitely using him for reasons other than just here's a guy that you can't pulse wave.
Yeah, like Nick Fury can ignore both of his powers with the penetrating aim and shut down shape change, as opposed to his more traditional yellow battery can't ignore anything or any of his powers. So.
All right. So we'll move on next to Alio Martinez's team. This is Highfather, Nick Fury, and the Punisher. Now, if you do up the math, it's going to be the 45-point Marvel Knights OP kit Punisher. This is Nick Fury. What's that?
Weapons cache.
Yeah. I've had a chance to play the weapons cache one, and if he would have hit any of the 5s or 6s he needed to hit when he had a 12 attack, he would have probably looked very good. Instead, he missed all of those attacks and did next to no damage. But either way, he was a cool figure in my book. Highfather, of course, in this metagame is going to stop a lot of Nick Furies because a lot of people are playing Nick Fury, as their peak character.
Mm-hmm.
Quite.
Yeah. And of course, if Highfather does happen to get taken down a couple notches, you can always look to Tachyon in the background. I'm sure there was one to keep the fight going. Although I don't think Tachyon has much to heal him up on this team.
No, not on this.
Absolutely nothing on this team.
So it's probably just you know what, I'm about to die. Let's try. Kind of.
Well, and also Highfather's great in his own respect. He can, Nick is already a powerhouse, and he can make Nick even more of a powerhouse. He doesn't need Tachyon to turn Nick into an even greater cosmic assassin. And again, no reason to come out. Punisher runs around looking for his weapons caches, and as long as he can work within an area that is protected by Nick shooting, and Highfather shutting down one of the attackers on the other team, then there's a good chance he'll get to it. So, again, we don't need to rush with this team.
He can let your Nick Fury blast your opponent's whole team and then heal him up when necessary, and then on top of that, get +1 stats. On top of having leadership and prob, and also on top of Nick's prob.
Yeah.
So his trade is almost like icing. In addition to also stopping the +1 stats against your Nick.
It's very good icing, but yes.
Delicious icing.
Yeah, it's almost like people forget that Highfather does things besides his trait.
That's true. Well, so we got so used to Hope Father or Greed Father or whatever, with Highfather basically being there to just shut people down until Double Tachyon can come out, that it's true. A lot of people got brainwashed into thinking that that's what that piece was there for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. As well, he's also a capable support, probability control, and leadership, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, his special power is all those, and then when he supports a character, regardless of whether he hits or heals, they get +1 stats.
Yeah, super bump to them.
And they get it until the end of the next turn. So if you do it turn 1, then do it turn 2. Until the end of that turn, they get +2 to their stats, and then the next turn, that character will have +1 to his stats.
Yep. So if your Nick Fury is attacking the highest point character on the other team after 2 solid levels of that, then he's got +3.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily want to do that because then you're letting that character retaliate. So you might want to pick off everyone else first.
Well, it's nice to have options.
Yeah.
It's one of those things you're capable of, though you might not do it right off the bat. It's one of those things that if your opponent puts himself in the position, do it.
Yeah. Well, and Highfather has TK as well for positioning awesomeness. I just remembered.
Well, and also if your opponent if the highest point opponent on the other team is Nick Fury, and you can get your Nick Fury to deal penetrating damage with +3 damage and attack, that's a one-shot. Why not take it?
Yeah.
Especially because then with the +1 stat, you'll have better range on him, so you won't be able to prop you back with your 2 probs. Yep.
Right. Yep.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on there. So we move on to the next team. Colin, I'm going to mess up this last name. I'm going to say Botcher, or Bocher.
You butchered the name, which might be how it's pronounced for all we know.
Yeah. He brought Mazaz and Copycat. That was his team. So his team was Mazaz and one of your figures.
Mazaz really likes stealing, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, he even brought his friends to steal.
It's Mr. Steal Your Girl.
I think we're all looking at this like we kind of get it.
Yeah, we get it. I mean, the guy somewhere out there, Colin Botcher's balls have a gravitational pull of their own, showing up with Mazaz and Copycat. That's bold, man. And Mazaz is good, but at 210 points, he's barely worth it. But he can be worth it if you can start stealing some cool stuff. And if on the very first turn you use Copycat, Copycat's amazing. And at this point, Copycat is as useful as ever before, if not more so. Even though, of course, we keep talking about it being a Nick Fury-dominated meta, and Copycat doesn't help against Nick, but all the same, certainly helps if you're up against any number of really annoying pieces that are pretty common. Banshee, pretty common. Nighthawk Prime, pretty common. Even Rainbow Raider, not uncommon. All very aggravating.
Yeah. And if they're going to be a problem for your team, might as well take them. I mean, that's one of the things I noticed with Copycat is sometimes it's okay to take a character who's less points.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
She's not necessarily worth 90 the way I look at her more and more. It's like her stats don't bring 90 points to the table.
It's another one of these things where the fact that we're into the no tactics zone means that the good old-fashioned throw the nurse on Copycat and switch back right away strategy just isn't there.
Yeah,
indeed.
I don't know if that was a huge part of why Copycat faded away. I suspect it was just a part of it. But the sun will shine again on Copycat.
Mm-hmm. In addition, it's also great that if you do take a lower point character, you can get more than 300 points.
That's right. Works for your matchups and later on, or at least for your placements towards the end. All right. So next up, now here's a name I've actually seen in tournaments before. This is Brett Gatherings. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Brett Gatherings. We only got Gathings on the name, so if it isn't Brett Gatherings, I apologize for giving you too much credit. And if your name actually is Brett Gathings,
more letters are more credit.
Yeah, more credit. All the power to you. So we're in the top 4 now. So Brett Gatherings had 2 Red Tornadoes and a Resurrection Man.
Pinball.
Yeah, playing pinball. You know, I'm also seeing. We were talking about the pinball before the show. I didn't think about this. Resurrection Man could roll barrier.
That's cute.
Right? So you take any of those blues that you get with Resurrection Man, you grab a barrier, or you grab any of those ennies you get, an instant barrier, and then you lock somebody in next to 2 red tornadoes, and you start pinballing them around. I think we did the math where you can get 4 damage out of red tornado and you hadn't made a single attack roll.
Yeah, the new lamp.
That's 6 damage in the 3-turn cycle. So
yeah,
there you go.
That's pretty insane.
And they have a long-ish dial with like toughness, so like outwit. They do a lot of stuff. They do things. It's fun.
Yeah.
They have decent attacking.
Them give them credit for, right?
They have decent attacking stats, and no, Resurrection Man can't be higher points than.
No, I think he's like 92 points.
I don't know how many points they are. Is this team just underbuilt? They're 95. He's 94.
Yeah.
So then, yeah. So, but they still count towards. Both of them are the highest points, and Nick Fury doesn't get the bonuses, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resurrection Man.
You have to kill them before they kill you. Good luck.
Yep. So it's a team to start thinking about. I would love to see some of the map choices on some of these. This is of course advanced notice of the team, so we don't have the map choices, which will show up on the actual HC Realms page on this one. And yeah, I wonder if Resurrection Man at any point ever got Force Blast to work with too.
You sicken me.
just to add.
It's too bad that I asked Amber about this a while ago, and Bates, the wording on the trait is when she activates Force Blast, so she can't do the extra ping in addition to an attack, because you have to activate it as its own thing.
Yeah.
So that will be her power action for the turn, unless you do want to attack.
But a power action to do guaranteed damage sometimes is just worth it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's, in fact, always worth it. A power action to do potential damage is like the cornerstone of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we're not seeing very many long-lived characters outside of the occasional, I guess, Resurrection Man or like similar characters, so you can see it being effective.
I wonder if that was Resurrection Man, and maybe if it should be.
Because this team is underbuilt then by a fair bit, by like 15 points.
But a dead man would bring it a little closer. Maybe he just wanted the Resurrection Man. Who knows?
Maybe he wanted to be 16 points underbuilt. We will never know.
He wanted to be alliterative.
There we go. There
Well,
it
like,
Red tornado,
I
red
remember
tornado.
I remember the reports from like U.S. nationals this year. Like someone said Wrecker instead of Absorb Man. I was like, what? What?
Yeah,
How?
we were so
Do
confused
that
by
we're all
that.
seeing.
We were confused for like a week.
Yeah, because I looked at the character and I'm like, he literally doesn't do anything that's so what?
Yeah. How did this? Why did somebody manage to break Wrecker with the Rock of Eternity? This doesn't make sense.
Uh,
All right. So next up, Howard Brock brought a Banshee, Rick Jones, and Nick Fury to the table, along with Pim Particles. Pim Particles is going to be one I should expect to see a lot. I mean, it's 2 points, and it fills up just about any team. And there's nothing wrong with being... Was that?
Although Hulkbuster armor, I realized today, is kind of useful for more than it appears, because it's also, in its own way, undestroyable, hindering in case you want that for your stealth character.
That's right.
But there's no reason you can't put both on, right?
No, I mean points being the other reason, but yeah. Yeah.
And this is Howard Brock is great at bringing just teams that are great.
Yeah, but I also like on this team that the Captain America Parg starts out with Precision Strike, so he can pick the Pim Particles up, worst case scenario, and get an 8 range as a surprise instead of his 4. So that's cute.
Absolutely.
Oh.
long. It's the long toss.
Did he throw a pencil in my eye? What is this Precision Strike pencil?
And that's a Pog that could have gone toe to toe with those red tornadoes. Because he's got Precision Strike to deal with that super senses that they have right off the top, right?
Quite.
So, that's a thought. Although he comes with sidestep, if I remember correctly, right?
The red tornadoes have it full dial, and as does the Captain America Pog. It's 8 sidestep, 10 precision strike, 17 willpower, 2 damage, 4 range.
Yeah, overall it's just a great team. Rick Jones to bring out the Pogs, has some TK.
Gets perplex.
Yeah. One of these characters gets a Pim Particles, and all of a sudden Banshee's able to carry the team. And yeah, overall just a really, really solid team. It got him to the top 4. So obviously that's it's a team to look at.
It's interesting to see just Rick Jones with just a 10 range instead of another character with improved targeting. But like, once you already have that improved targeting, do you really need like all 3 of them? When Rick Jones is just natural, awesome range.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
We'll just throw another invite to him. Hopefully that we didn't completely lose him. His internet's been a little spotty today, though, so we'll see.
Good team. Enough support powers. It's fun.
Yeah.
Does what it does.
All right, so then we move into the final 2. First up is second place was PJ McLaughlin playing a Super Skrull, a Copycat, and a Star Labs technician. So Copycat, that's twice now. People are seeing it. It is no longer that little secret of the internet. Because I
wonder what the rules would be if you're copycatting a Rick Jones, but you don't actually own the Pogs.
I believe his Pogs show. Oh yeah, I guess you'd have.
It says as included in this card, but if you don't actually own them yourself, that's an interesting question for the rules team.
I wonder if the copycats were I wonder if the copycats were bothering to steal Rick Jones because he has 75 points.
Well, I'm thinking more. Well, you never know.
Like if he's up against
the potential for more attacker, depends.
Yeah, like in the case of his team against Power Brock's team, he's probably bringing the. I was
more thinking in the case of Patrick's team, but that has not been talked about yet. So I will leave.
We haven't discussed it yet.
I will shut up.
All right, but yeah, that said, Super Skrull is still good. It just and with the Star Labs tech with TK, it's a little bit more mobile than you'd expect. Of course, TK is always that way of sending out a bomb at people.
I like the worst case scenario. Even if you don't want to steal anything from your opponent's team, you still have Super Skrull to pick any power, and then Copycat to take it for herself.
That's right.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So if you need 2 characters with Battle Fury against the Shape Changer,
pretty much.
Yeah. All right. So then we come to the top. Patrick Iboko's team. He's back. He's back from Asgard. He's napped and he's here to take souls. And his team.
Odin.
Excuse me a second.
Rick Jones, Mr. Mix's Pitlick. I ran out of voice just on Mr. Mix's Pitlick. Avenger Sky Cycle, the Ultron drone, the Age of Ultron. This is the 6-arm Ultron drone. Despotellus, Atomica, Blind Owl, and a Cowgirl. That is a team I'm definitely very proud of.
I definitely think this is one of the occasions of pilot.
Yes. It's one of those things. When he told me he played the team, I wasn't shocked. When Mike told me about the team, I was like, Mike, what are you doing? It looked like he was just throwing the team at first glance. Looks like you're just kind of throwing science at the wall and seeing what sticks. But then there's method to the madness. So I mean, like the Sky Cycle has got 2 solid pilots in either Rick Jones or the Ultron drone. More likely be the Ultron drone though, because Pulse Wave and Outwit are, I hear, pretty good powers. You have
like winning.
Yeah, I hear some people do enjoy that. You have Rick Jones pop out the Pogs, who can carry Despotellus or Atomica, depending on who the Sky Cycle doesn't carry. The Sky Cycle, of course, will be able to carry 2 characters because it's got 1 passenger and it can carry a tiny. And almost everything on this team is tiny. Mr. Mix's Pitlick is tiny. Despotellus is tiny. Atomica is tiny. Blind Owl stays in the starting area.
So by the time you pilot it and Blind Owl's in your starting area, your only standard character is Rick Jones.
That's right.
And his Pog. That's delightful.
And his Pog, that's right. And, of course, the Pog is there to... I'm not sure if it came up, but Patrick does have the Pogs to go against Mazaz. Just kind of throw bodies at it. Be like, okay, I hit. All right, I take the damage. I hit again with another Pog. Let's bring out another Pog and keep going.
I'm very, very happy now that like these teams have shown that we got limited instead of no tactics just because of Pogs.
Yeah.
They're delightful. They make characters able to work, and some just don't fundamentally work without their Pogs that they bring in. This is one of those.
They fill out teams well.
Sorry?
They fill out teams well. I just wish that Hordes were allowed. I really like Hordes, and they never got their chance in the sun.
Now, I believe the Horde rules that we got a little confuzzled about were actually just in reference to the 400-point Modern Limited, where in 400 points they become Epic Hordes.
Right.
And Epic Hordes like heal tokens onto it that have died in the game.
Yeah, it's very messy and complicated. It's a shenanigans. Nobody knows those rules, and like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and somebody will use those rules, and somebody will complain about it.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be one of those things. Now, there's another tournament that showed up that a lot of people were making noise about, also brought up by 2 Clicks from KO. Also, guys, if you're looking for some info on 2 Clicks from KO, check the description below. I do put a link to their podcast. It's an awesome podcast. Aaron Cantu is a very great player, and his partner, Brandon, is also a very, very knowledgeable player. They're very good guys, very interesting podcast to listen to, and it's how I usually start my week on a Monday myself. Helps me with my commute.
Agreed.
Yeah. Now, that said, somebody has gone and done it. Somebody has played 2 Nick Furies and a Jason Sparta. And it is making noise on the Facebooks right now. It was a smaller tournament that was listed as an ROC prep tournament, but apparently a lot of people showed up, and it was worth mentioning. And that was one of the teams that people are up in arms about. Do we think Nick Fury should be unique, guys? Let's go around the table. Tom, what do you think?
No. I don't know what else to say. No, I don't think so. I think that Nick Fury is extremely powerful, and there's the possibility that if the winds keep blowing in the direction of either play him or build to play against him, and it starts to become oppressive, that there needs to be some talk about doing something about him, but I don't think making him unique is the answer in that respect. I don't think that it's a stroke of unprecedented genius to think maybe I'll just play 2 of him. I'm sure there are lots of people who have at least considered the possibility, and for one reason or another decided that their teams would be stronger with other options there. So I don't think that the playing 2 Nick Furies is going to suddenly open the floodgate of holy crap, I never thought of it. I mean, everyone at some point I'm sure has thought of it. I've thought of it. It's just it is viable. It's potent, but I don't think that there's anything. Let me put it this way: there's nothing that is wrong with 2 Nick Furies that isn't equally wrong with 1. And so if a problem needs to be addressed, it's a problem with Nick Fury, not a problem with his rarity or his uniqueness.
All right, Jay?
Can't really argue with that. I mean,
You could.
I mean, the only thing that he makes different with having more than one of him is stopping the bonuses of other Nick Furies, but you can just do that easily with other characters anyway. So, like, that's your whole team, basically, and your taxi, and he only gets the one use of no targeting. So,
And the no targeting is also nickable. So.
Well, it would have to be nicked before it gets triggered because
which is not possible because he carries and does it on his own turn, and then you can't be targeted after that. It's a one-time thing, though.
But Nick's power doesn't target, does it? It just says choose a character, choose a power, and a character. He doesn't say anything about targeting.
But then, even so, if you do that, then you've used your thing, so...
You've used it to turn off that power, but you can then just go ahead and take a shot at another character.
Huh, it doesn't say specifically target. How about that?
That's why I don't play Jason Sparta. In fact, that was one of the things in the early days that I was suggesting if we were going to errata anything about Nick Fury, we errata that. Make it at least a targeting power so that things like Jason Sparta would still work. But
Right, he doesn't say anything about lines of fire not being able to be... Oh. Huh.
It doesn't say target on this card. That's
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah, it'd be even better, as if it wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really make much of a difference, because most things that are going to hurt it are just lines of fire things, which are not going to matter if you can't draw a line of fire at all, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are certain things that they've never errated. Like, they've never errated point costs.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to suddenly give a figure a silver ring. Unless, the only exceptions I can think of are like probably ones where they intended them to have them, but just misprints happen.
Yeah.
Like most recently, Gallius Zed Prime didn't have the Prime ring, but like was clearly a Prime, and had like I even think the green on his background of his cards. Like that was just a clarification. Mm-hmm. But like that's not a thing that generally gets done, so I don't see that happening.
You have to throw in that question then. That's a good observation there, Tom.
Thank you.
That's why we have him, because he's smart sometimes.
Very rarely.
Sometimes you get those things.
Well, I don't want to get you a big ego. I mean, keep it in check.
What do you think, Jason? Do you think he should be unique?
No, I don't think he should be unique. I think here's the thing. Nick Fury is good, but he's easy mode. And what happens is easy mode gets played by good players and seems that much better. It's something I'm seeing in common even in video games. You know, if they gave you something in the beginning and you had all that time to get good with it, and I'm good now, and I still play that thing from back in the beginning, I'm just gonna be better at it. And that's what's happening here. Is Nick Fury is literally he has an ability that's an answer to just about everything. Which means you have two choices. You have to get around it, and you have to become a next step above that, or you kind of have to play it. Now, I have played against teams that are incredibly frustrating to attempt to even use a Nick Fury with, or use Nick Fury, against, and they do exist. He is stoppable, but the question is that the only answer? Is it going to be those two teams? And just based on this ROC alone, I don't know how many Nick Furies were there, but that was the top 8. Didn't see very many Nick Furies.
I thought there were 3 in that particular event.
In the smaller.
Yeah. And that's just the top 8. That's like the cut.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many. I didn't get all the details of the event.
It
but
seems
if you want
more that like.
I'm sure Patrick's article that he put on his website, which will be the majestic-ccg.com/apexpredator. I'll put that in the description below, where that article will probably have a little bit more details that we don't have, and how his approach to Nick Fury was. But Mr. Mix's Pitlick as well is another answer to a lot of what he does. Because a lot of the time Nick Fury is going in with the probability control, and that's a thing. So yes, if somebody's playing 2 Nick Furies, it's because they saw that Nick Fury #1 was good and wanted to bring 2 of them to the board. He is bringing some probability control. He's hoping that he's banking on people not counterpicking the Nick Fury itself, and banking on people not planning on putting some blocking between you and him.
But I mean, there's options to play against Nick Fury. We've seen the fact that there is options to play against Nick Fury. He's not the be all end all. It's just going to be difficult, and that's one of those things about high level plays. Guess what? It's difficult. I went into the window map on November 1st, and I looked at all the teams. I said, well, this area knows how to play Heroclix now. This is going to be a hard tournament. Time to up my game a bit. It's just one of those things you get when everybody starts getting good at the game gets hard to win at, and that's a fact. You have to work your butt off to win, and you have to come up with the answers. So I'm not what well, I guess what I'm saying is there's an answer. It's there. You just have to decide how you're going to play at this point.
Yep.
Does Nick Fury need some work? Maybe, making him so that he's targeting might be a thing, but that's just one of many small little things that can just make a character stand out against him, and that's just a small fix. So
you just compared what's happening now with other times in the game when stuff was so unfortunately unbalanced that it had to be fixed. Nick Fury is not winning every event. It is not on literally every team. We just saw a team where a high level, an objectively one of the best players in the game didn't play him and beat a bunch of them, presumably. It's not at the point where it's ridiculous and he needs to be changed, I don't think.
Yeah, and it's like I said, he's an easy answer, but he's a first order optimal strategy. Where, it's the Zergling Rush, but somebody who's better at you than StarCraft is going to beat the Zergling Rush. I just immediately went to another game just to.
Well, I guess the only thing perhaps to play the devil's advocate on that point, because again, I don't think that Nick Fury needs to be made unique, but the thing that I'm still on the fence on about Nick Fury is that, to my line of thinking, Felix Faust got errated and then ultimately banned, even in spite of the errata. Not so much because of the fact that he was massively overpowered, as he created a negative play experience. Part of that was being overpowered, but part of that was also the manner in which he was overpowered. In a way that a piece like perhaps the old school Nightcrawler that was absolutely everywhere didn't necessarily create a negative play experience per se, even though it was incredibly ubiquitous. That was never addressed. Like, they never errated that Nightcrawler. They let it ride. And I guess my line of thinking is that I like it when the errata steps in to take away game elements that make the game less fun, as opposed to simply game elements that are very powerful.
Yeah.
And Nick Fury, I'm still on the fence about where I land with that, because frankly, his ability to just say that power you have, you don't have it anymore, it does hurt the fun experience as far as I'm concerned. Everything else about him is fine, and I don't have a problem with him, even though he's a highly efficient cosmic assassin. It's simply the fact that no matter what the power is, he can just say it's no longer there. That bothers me, and it's bordering on creating a negative play experience. But I'm not exactly sure it's there yet. So
yeah, I think the problem is that also there's a lot of powers that, when designed, are just intended to not be able to be gotten around. There's a lot of uncounterable and ignorable, but he can just get rid of those, even though, like, intent-wise, you shouldn't really be able to get around those. So I see your point to some degree, but and also it is problematic. But I don't think it's to the point where he's ruining everything it needs to be gotten rid of, because there are ways around him.
Yeah. Sure.
It comes down to the fact that there's a number of strategies that revolve around him, and I think because I play one of those strategies where it's just like, he's there, he did a thing to a guy, well, I got a backup plan, I'm fine. It doesn't bother me that much, but I'm also the general overthinker about things, and that's why I bring 8 figures to the table, 4 figures, 5 figures, big teams, because like one single outwit's not going to kill my team. One Nick Fury is not really going to cream my team. He's just going to take a figure and make that figure's life hell. So, that's the way I see it right now. It's not affecting my playstyle. Sometimes I even play the Nick Fury, I'm not going to lie, because I've come up with some teams that use him, mostly because I've got to start thinking with the mindset occasionally of maybe I could just take that figure that's good and pilot it, or get used to playing with it so that I know what I'm going to be playing against. It's one of those things where I'm at that level right now. It's like I'm leaning away from him, but at the same time I got to know him, know thy enemy.
Always.
That's the stage I'm at right now.
And it's not even necessarily like he's just a point-and-click piece, because no move and attack. He's his own worst enemy, and you have to find ways around other Nick Furies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just like you play Nick Fury and win. You have to face other Nick Furies. You have to face other stuff that counters him, and you still have to play smart with him. He's not necessarily an automatic win where you place him and you win. Clearly, because he's not been winning every single tournament forever.
Well, clearly.
Yeah. All right. So now we've got all of that off our chest. Yes, we don't think he needs to be unique necessarily, but he's strong, and he's a thing we're all considering and looking at in the game. And I think it's really been the fact that he's something everybody has to think about is what's got everybody on their heels right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, with that said, let's talk about another head of another agency in another world with also 5 letters in it. 5 instead of 6 letters. And that is
Carol
the
Danvers,
madam
Archer Shields.
in front of Argus, Miss Amanda Waller. This week we built teams based around Amanda Waller, and I'm gonna let Jay go first on this one. So
Of course, you have to. Of course, mine has a Nick Fury on it because I have to be ashamed. But then again, I just preach how he's not broken, so I'm just gonna go by what I think.
What team's not broken?
Is it Copycat with Amanda Waller and Nick Fury? That would be a spy team for 300.
You can see my team right now, so you know.
I spy your team, bro.
Yeah. The right arm. What was that one? Was that the one that gives energy explosion? I think.
Right arm, I think, yeah, 6 range.
Yeah, minimum range of 6 and energy explosion.
Yes, because penetrating energy explosion on Nick Fury is delightful. But then again, Atomica only has 3 range and precision strike, so like. Okay, so basically the point of the team is Amanda Waller is another one of those awesome characters that can leadership on Nick Fury because of her trait. It's cool. It is great. Nick Fury does Nick Fury things. Atomica does prob. Agent 13 is there to shut down any ways of giving Nick Fury a free move action and then attacking. Well, free move action using his own power because that's a free action. So help shut that down a bit and makes other Nick Furies less mobile. As well as shutting down, let's say, General Lane, Nick Fury, or General Lane because he has a lot of free actions himself, or just a lot of stuff, as well as the shield team ability on her. And then the point is, this is a team with all the characters that are attacking are scary, and if the Nick Fury somehow does manage to miss, he gets the Amanda Waller tokens and gets even more frightening later. But then again, how likely is it that he's going to miss? Not very. Atomica can even start attacking. Oh, never mind. She can't pick up the right arm because of the new rules. Never mind. But still, Atomica making the attacks and then getting scarier when she misses because she's going to miss with that 9 attack. But then she will get monster stats and a lot of awesome powers. So your 25-point character is actually attacking being scary. I don't know how much I'm going to be moving Amanda Waller's team because debating soaking up CSA tokens versus getting in closer to maybe use Outwit, and then I think she's just Suicide SWAT team ability, so like that's not gonna do anything for you as much, but still the leadership is useful and you have to be within 5 to use it. Agent 13 there is to do her special power, maybe shut down defenses if you can pull that off, but mostly shield team ability and stuff. And then Nick Fury's penetrating energy explosion is good to have.
Yeah, that giving him the energy explosion there is kind of genius, because you're right. It's penetrating because he's targeting the highest point character, and because it just says the damage dealt is penetrating, that means the energy explosion is penetrating too, even though it's damaging not the highest point figures at that point.
That is exactly why I played Arcade, because against a cluster, even if I miss the initial, he gets a shape change roll, I just say, okay, whoever you're friendly next to you is just going to get blown up, and you're going to take the same damage you would take regardless, because precision strike energy explosion.
Yeah, it's really, I just think it's cool that Nick Fury's trait is theoretically there to only give him penetrating damage against the highest point character, but by giving him energy explosion, you kind of exploit the technicality and
because energy explosion doesn't target the other characters. Yep,
exactly. That's brilliant. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Now, I did that thing again where I forgot to explain to people the figure that we're working with.
Oh, okay.
With that
Oh,
said,
Bush, my. Oh, gosh.
welcome to the Bush Leagues. So the Amanda Waller that Jay just built a wonderful team with is the OP Kit 1, of course, which is what we've used for this exercise. And she comes with, well, what you see is what you get as far as powers and stats until you see her traits. Argus, Justice League of America, Spy, Suicide Squad, and Team 7 keywords.
I don't think it's screen sharing successfully.
No?
I'm seeing the blackness.
Yeah, I'm just seeing black as well.
The blackness. Hold on a second. I'm going to turn it off and on again to see if that works. That better?
Hold everything.
Maybe it's just Tom's computer? No?
I'm just seeing black as well. Do you want me to do it?
I'm not sure. You know what? Let me check the stream. That's a good way to check.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, it's just completely losing my face. What's going on here? All right, that's weird. All right, Jay, you screen share it.
You got it, bro.
What's up with my screen share?
There we go.
So much text. It's like her trait's just like half of her card. It's great.
All right, so as I said, what you see is what you get as far as stats and powers. And then she's got her first trait. During your first turn, give Amanda Waller a free action and choose a friendly character to gain the Suicide Squad keyword this game. Amanda Waller can use leadership, and when she does and succeeds, she may also remove an action token from any friendly character with the Suicide Squad keyword within 5 squares, regardless of point value. So a really awesome leadership from a distance is a good source of leadership. Suicide Squad characters get the bonus from that. Or is it? Yeah.
It's also, she does regular leadership plus the extra token. That's pretty
That's
neat.
right. Yep. Absolutely. And then we move into our next trait. Welcome to the Suicide Squad. Whenever another friendly character that shares a keyword with Amanda Waller misses all targets of an attack, place a nanobomb token on that character's card after actions resolve. Whenever a friendly character KOs an opposing character, you may remove any number of nanobomb tokens from that friendly character's card. Characters with nanobomb tokens can use these effects. So 1 or more nano tokens gives you willpower. 2 or more gives you +1 speed and attack. 3 nanobombs gives you colossal stamina. 4 or more nanobombs gives you defense, damage, and range by +1. So this is like a cumulative thing. You start with willpower, then you get +1 speed and attack, then you get colossal stamina, then you get extra damage, defense, and range. And then if you have 5 or more nanobombs, you're dead.
Wait, hold on a second. It says they can use these effects.
That's right.
So theoretically, doesn't that make them all optional?
Can use willpower.
No, but like the initial trait says characters with the tokens can use these effects.
Okay. Character KO'd is still KO'd.
Right, but that's can't you just choose not to do it?
I don't think so in this case. I think the character
Probably not, but it's just something worth looking at.
Well, that would be hilarious.
I mean, that would be against the intent. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not. There's no way they would rule otherwise. It's just like funny little ruling thing. Who knows?
Yeah. It's one of those things I'm starting to think. Like, if you nitpick too much and miss the intent, it's why would they word the power that way?
Yes.
All you're really
Obviously.
doing is questioning their semantics, right?
Semantics, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, with that said, Tom, take it away, buddy.
All we're seeing is your profile. There we go.
I know. My screen share is broken for some reason.
All right, let's see if mine works. Right. Do you see Amanda Waller?
I do see Amanda Waller.
Brilliant. Okay, so she's on my team because I'm not cheating. Also a spy theme team, kind of going in the opposite direction of Jay. I just wanted some more attackers, and wanted to have some way of getting them across the field. So I'm along with Amanda Waller. We have Captain Marvel Prime, who I hardly need to say too much about. He's my favorite Prime ever made, I think, because he seems to creep onto almost every team. He's great in his own right, and the fact that he gives everybody who's adjacent who doesn't have Kree, which, surprise, surprise, is everybody in the team, a +1 in addition to the defend, should help them get across the field. Speaking of getting across the field, Agent Sitwell is here to give them all sidestep, and of course Captain Marvel will carry Agent Sitwell with him when he uses his sidestep. So adjacent friendly characters can use sidestep, everybody sidesteps along. When Captain Marvel does it, he carries Sitwell, and thus the whole team can just move out together and get blown up by Jay's team, which should be noted. The Shield Infiltrator is also along for the ride. as a poison piece. Ultimately, the intent with this team is to get across the field and try to tie your opponents down. So your shield infiltrator is getting in close and is going to try to get some poison in. Atomica is as useful as she ever is. Her 9 attack isn't too useful, but that's what Amanda Waller is there for. This team is not made up of people I expect to be hitting the first time around. I expect that there's going to be some tokens going all over the place on this team. Thankfully, Crime Syndicate is there to help out with Prob, and her Precision Strike actually can be of some use to you once their attack value goes up to 10 from its pathetic opening 9. And she has the Justice League ability, because why not? I had an extra point, which gives her a possibility of an extra defense against people attacking her that fly, or sharpshooters, or indomitable, or giants, which is a lot of characters. So her 19 defense becomes situationally 20, and the Helmet of Fate is also there. Helmet of Fate is basically you can give Captain Marvel mind control, but frankly, I would like
he already has 2 out of the 3 powers. It's almost redundant.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's probably better off going on Amanda Waller or Agent Sitwell. As I said, this team does want to get close. The constant sidestepping combined with having the ability to carry people enough to take actions the point being, you can take actions to move the team across, you can also sidestep to move the team across, and the leadership can help a lot. Everyone on this team can use willpower, so if they're hitting, rock on. And if they're missing, then they get a token to give them willpower, which will be extremely helpful for them to keep trying to hit. And basically,
it's also good for CSA tokens.
That's very true. And so it's basically it's a very straightforward little spy swarm. Watch out for energy explosion, but hope that your 19 defenses all around, or more in some cases, will be enough to keep the opponents at bay until you get close enough to get the old what was I saying? Oh yes, until you get close enough for Captain Marvel to get a shot, hopefully shut down your opponent's ability to make attacks, and just keep on keeping on until you hopefully win.
You just needed to have Hulk there, didn't you?
I don't even know how that happened. I clicked something that I had no idea what it was, and the Hulk popped up. I'm like, that's serendipitous.
Suddenly Hulk.
I like that your team allows Atomica to get a 22 defense because of Tiny, Captain Marvel potentially, and the Amanda Waller bonuses.
And
I also like that the only shared thing we had besides Waller, which was mandatory, was the Atomica getting awesome stats.
It's true. Well, with the ATA on there, then she's almost certainly going to get 22.
Oh yeah, that was the last 3. She doesn't even need it, Amanda Waller. She just be 22 all the time. That's necessary.
25 points is well protected, let me tell you.
All right, can you guys see my screen share right now?
Duh.
All right, excellent.
Now we do. Oh wait,
right.
it's gone.
What? When I click on it, it disappears. When I focus on it, it disappears.
That's
so
weird.
I can only look at it from afar.
It's working for me now.
There we
You
go.
see it at a distance?
Gotcha. That works.
Right. In any case, so my team, I went with the Justice League of America keyword because I figured how many possibly lame characters, can possibly fit into a single team. So of course we started with Amanda Waller, and I wanted to say that I put Steve Trevor on a team. So what did I do? Put Steve Trevor on a team.
Right. There's a guy that needs willpower on his first click.
Absolutely. Oh boy.
He can't even leadership on anyone, even with the bonus.
He thinks like a
So
stone.
pathetic. Oh my god.
So after that, I decided I was going to add in a Dr. Light. Why? Because my team is lame duck, and I need enhancement desperately. So,
Nothing.
yeah, he's something. And he's also Stealth Busters. So, when he's missing, he's going to get extra attack value to eventually be able to hit something in hindering terrain. And, of course, cap it all off, the bad Stargirl.
Wow. I think I see what you're going for here. You want to be the guy that got to 5 tokens.
You can't kill me. Only I can kill me.
I'll do a better job of killing me than everybody else.
The only way that you could have this team could be any better is if you go to a tournament with this, have a terminal illness, and plan to just drop dead at the end of it.
What if the nanobombs go off?
Oh my god.
The ones in my head.
I really, in all seriousness, I think you need to take a vacation because you just tried way too hard on this team.
I'm not going to lie to you. I wanted to turn around and say I built a team with Dr. Light and Stargirl. and I did it.
I mean, it's nice that she can give your characters willpower, although Amanda Waller already does it, so that's redundant as
They don't.
ever.
Well, some of them don't have willpower, so they can use it, and they all need the attack boost. They need everything they can get.
Exactly. This is a team that needs Amanda Waller to help.
Right, but I'm saying that like the best thing that Stargirl does is the willpower, but Amanda Waller already does that for you.
That's right. Yeah. But I mean, like, I got an enhancer in there, and Stargirl has range, right? Right.
But it's funny because it's not even like Justice League of America doesn't have any good characters. Like they have a bunch, but you purposely didn't include any of them.
Well, when I was building it, I think one of the problems I ran into is some of them are a little higher points. Like Amanda Waller is 90 points, and she doesn't bring much for 90 points. There seems to be common between her and the what's his name?
Captain Boomerang.
Captain Boomerang. That's the man.
Captain Accent.
Yeah, Captain Boomerang. Anyway, so with that said, I was originally thinking of the Prime Dr. Light. Points just, it was a little too hefty. Wait, actually, I think I could still do it.
I would have done drop Stargirl, drop the Dr. Light, drop Stargirl, put the Prime in, throw in Atomica.
I considered that, and then I was like 23 points under, and I didn't feel like looking for special objects.
What about the Justice League of America ATA, the awesome one?
The
Silver Age. Yeah.
Silver Age
1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm still 11 points short.
Well, no Hulkbuster Park can take care of that.
I don't know what to tell. I mean, I think Jason is just fundamentally opposed to that because he likes his Hulk.
What's that? Yeah, I'm not anything but bust Hulks on my team.
What do we think of Amanda Waller as a piece?
For all the attacks I miss, I love what she does.
Right, but then
I miss those attacks, I'm dead.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying to Jason. It's another mechanic that rewards you for losing the game, but it's not so powerful that it'll turn it around either. So it's like, and it's not even like you'll ever get to 5 tokens, because if you're missing that many attacks, you already did before the 5th.
Well, maybe your opponent also is not good.
I'm saying you're not even gonna get the chance to blow yourself up because your opponent's gonna win long before that. Like,
I'm giving them all 19 defense. Maybe it'll hold.
She's a huge point investment. Like,
I don't like her very much. If she were 80 points, then I could have put her on with Deadshot and the Nighthawk, not Prime, but regular Nighthawk, the one who gives the opportunity for adjacent friendlies to share attack values, and then they could all have 12 attack. But doesn't work. Too many points.
I wish that her dial was more bare bones and just focused more on having the trait and then just being much cheaper, so you basically just get the trait part. Because she's not a character that goes out on the field much anyways. So it's like, why are she or President Luthor on the battlefield waiting to get their headshot? Like, that's not a thing that really happens.
It's very true that her traits are creative and interesting and cool, but I think you're right. Her cost, it makes her a bit, she's cost prohibitive. She's just too expensive for those traits. And it would be cool if you could get those traits for 70 points or 65 points.
It's like, there are some characters that realistically, like, are non-battlefield tacticians who would be better as a resource. Kind of thing, like a penguin.
I see where you're coming from.
The dial itself doesn't do enough for the points. It's just a fact.
To me, it looks like a character that was designed for a bigger game, in spite of the fact that you're able to play it in a 300-point game. So, like, yeah, you can put it on a 300-point team. I wouldn't advise it. I mean, she's almost a third of your team at 300 points, and just, I find if you go beyond 300 points, that's when you get a little bit of leeway to make some silly decisions as far as point-for-point value.
Right.
When you get into like 500 points, a 90-point Lex Luthor who enhances across the board, that's fine. I mean, that's only 90 points of your 500-point build. But when you get into the 300-point realm, which is the competitive thing, which is what we focus on this show mostly, figures like this don't look very good. And you're not. We're saying it like we're probably not going to see Amanda Waller breaking the meta anytime soon. Mostly because if she's super effective, it's because the player is losing.
So
I mean, granted, it's not as bad as other effects like that, like the Hydra cut off one head thing involves your characters actually being KO'd. This is more just you miss one attack.
Yeah,
But
and that one attack gives you willpower, which is a pretty big step. I mean, that's pretty cool.
It's good, but then the really, really good ones are just you can't get them fast enough. And you don't want to get them fast enough because the really good one is when you have 4, and then you also run the risk of blowing yourself up, which thematically it makes perfect sense as to I really need to get this done, otherwise I'm just going to blow up. But
Yeah,
the +1 attack on 2 nanobombs is not good enough to really make or break a figure.
I agree. I would say though that I prefer this type of power to powers that trigger off you taking damage, or powers that just what I would call basically the rich get richer powers, which is where you get rewarded for success. Really, it's when your back's against the wall that you need the extra support. So I kind of like the idea that if you're successfully attacking, you don't need the buff, and if you're not successfully attacking, then you get the buff. So in that respect, I like it better than just when you die, a positive effect happens. Like your example, the Hydra one's a great one in that respect. And it's also better than, I've never, as much as I love all versions of the Hulk, I've never been a huge fan of the Hulk the End, who picks up his Titan tokens for taking damage, dealing damage. Because those Titan tokens are what he needs when his back's against the wall, he's going to die. So having them as a reward for dealing damage feels a bit antithetical to me. If I've been dealing damage, then I'm already ahead. I don't need the Titan token.
It's a good idea for a mechanic, but I think she's just too expensive in execution to actually want to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, if she just had that trait and not much of a dial to upper cost, and was more cost effective you're not really using her for the dial or the leadership. You're mostly using her for the trait.
Absolutely.
The problem is the rest of the dial that's attached to that ups her points.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right. Wow. That was probably the lengthiest conversation we've had about the figure that we're building with for the week, but I guess we've been happier with most of the other ones. Or just it's been flat out there's no discussion. This is a character that we won't be using kind of thing.
Well, there's not much in the news, so.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm starting to look through the questions, and we've already answered half of them with some of the discussion we had earlier today. So I've unfortunately taken away a lot of players' questions. But while I'm rambling on about this, go on Facebook.com/marriedwithclicks. Check out the link to this video if you have any questions or topics that you want us to discuss. You have a couple minutes still before we wrap it up, and we're gonna. We can answer some of these at full length, so we're gonna go to town on your questions now. Unfortunately, the YouTube still not giving us comments live, and I believe that's actually a YouTube thing that we're just gonna have to suffer now because I believe this is maybe related to the new YouTube Red service, which unfortunately we don't we're not big enough to participate in yet. So that said, we're gonna start with Julian Hernandez. He asks, I was wondering if Wizard or the zombies still have any place in the meta, and have you found a good partner for Faust or any of the vehicles that may show up in the meta?
Wizard, I have to
earlier.
I have to presume that Wizard is the prime
yes,
he's referring to. Well, not necessarily, but most likely.
Yeah.
That's
what I would put down too.
Still have a use, right? The other one never had a use.
Sorry, what?
Didn't you say it still has a use?
Still have a place.
Yeah, and the Prime was the only one who kind of ever did. Would you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jay.
Wizard is a good cleanup attacker, like a really, really good one. In Limited, I could maybe see somebody playing Nighthawk Prime, Dr. Spectrum, and him, which leaves points left over and is... What? 290 what?
295.
Okay, leaves you room for, not much that's relevant. I mean, you have Dr. Spectrum, who is, a ridiculous attacker and has the unfortunate flaw of not KOing characters. Wizard can polish them off, and Nighthawk does what he does.
Yep.
Decent team. in terms of like the name theme, but otherwise, he for the 110 only dealing the 11 and 3 and then 11 and 2 is not necessarily gonna be the thing you're building your team around. He might be more the thing that you're adding on to a team to just make it that much better. He has all the awesome improved movement to get where he needs to go to do his attacks.
He's another one.
When he won, it was with tactics to get just buttload of damage. So he has a place. I don't necessarily think you're going to see him that much.
I think that he's another one that is benefited by that Star Labs technician given precision strike. He gets twice the use out of that precision strike with his power being what it is, and that's a nice little use of 33 points. Outside of that, like he's one of the more viable hypersonic speed harassers. And so then the question becomes: is a hypersonic speed harassment an important deal, something worth talking about? And it's always there. I don't think at this point it's a huge deal, since the meta right now seems to be leaning so hard towards characters that just see virtually everything. So the ability to use the terrain to your advantage is somewhat reduced when so much of it is based around seeing past virtually all the terrain, and if you can't see past virtually all the terrain, having somebody there to blow out the terrain that you can't see around. And so from that perspective, I think it's harder to make it work with a hypersonic harassment piece, but it's not out of the question.
I've been beaten by Wizard in tactics. Limited, I haven't seen him. As well, a lot of what Wizard does is done by Johnny Quick at like 40, 38 points less. Because Johnny Quick comes in at 82, and then he is also Johnny Quick's capable of doing a ton of damage. Comes with his own little prop. So I think he ends up getting overshadowed by that. I mean, he lacks the improved movement, ignore hindering. You can get around that with pin particles being giant. I think
that's ignoring blocking is not a thing a lot of speedsters do. Like even the flyers don't ignore indoor blocking.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that he can do.
It is very neat.
Yeah. So he's got his place, but it's going to be that team that somebody came up with. That's the thing about limited is your team can include just about any figure. You've just got to plan on the outcome. I think I got an episode of Metal Lab to do on that one, like planning on how you expect to see it go down. We know that some of the zombies still have their place. We just saw that Zombie Super Skrull made a top 2 in an environment that still has Nick Fury in it. So
I don't think they were diminished in any meaningful way at all. There's more out there, but I don't think there's anything that makes them worse.
Yeah. So
the team base isn't allowed in limited, so if you have to be talking more about modern, I would think.
I assume that he was talking just about zombie pieces, but yeah.
Maybe. Well, the main thing that was seen was the team base, so that's kind of the big thing. In this current environment against a Nick Fury, being able to have that huge thing to just soak up a lot of Nick Fury damage in tactics and then pop out Super Skrull to do attacks and Battle Fury and all that stuff, like that can work against a Nick Fury, but
yeah. So we carry on. He's got actually a lot of questions that kind of link together here. Have you found a good partner for Faust yet? Anybody with the mystical keywords that I've been liking?
Nope. Okay, go on to you guys.
It wasn't Abracadabra, believe it or not, but it wasn't one of the 110-point figure who I'm actually starting to grow attached to with him. That has been doing well and is also a mystical character. That's Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate has been doing fairly well with the Faust for me. Adding the extra attack, having the probability control handy is really, really good. Dr. Fate adds to the attack himself. That's always good. And I can't remember, and I think at the 100-point mark as well, a lot of those, the Con Question, Con Pandora are good figures to consider to go along with him as well. It's kind of what I've
because especially with Con Pandora, getting the prob for him as if he needed it, and then also shutting down opposing prob is a good thing.
Yeah. As well as Faust does answer a problem that answers Nick Fury, and it's a weird looping issue where one figure can actually take out a figure who can take out another figure, but this figure over here can take out the figure that's over here who can take out this figure. It's rock, paper, scissors, I tell you sometimes. So yeah. And vehicles that may show up in the meta, we've seen Cap's motorcycle, holy crap.
Yep.
And we've seen the Sky
sure.
Cycle. So yeah, there's vehicles out there. And those are what I thought they'd be.
Yep.
So I guess I got so much crow to eat on that one. You know, I often find that a lot of times when I make a broad statement like that, I feel like I'm challenging the better players to mess with me. It's just like somebody better than me is going to prove me wrong, aren't they? And of course, there's Easton Brock with a Caps motorcycle, and it seems like jerk.
There's always someone that plays something.
Yeah. So it's I find in the limited, it's going to come down to the caliber of player piloting whatever figure that they're trying to prove is actually half decent.
Yeah.
Can you say I have a rock in French?
What's that?
Can you say I have a rock in French?
Not off the top of my head. Hold on a second. Google Translate will help me with this. Jean Roche.
Your accent just made Batroc cringe.
Jean Roche. I am Batroc, the Leaper! All right, Julian Hernandez does have one other question here. What fig do you think will be used most often in the meta from Superman and Wonder Woman? Mixes Pitlick will be used a lot. I can see that for sure, and I can definitely predict some Lois Lane use. And then I have to do a little bit more research into the tactics versus no tactics, or the limited, if you will. But
the top three, I think, would have, I mean, not necessarily in any specific order, would have to be Mixie, Faust, and General Lane for me.
Yeah. Yep.
Superman Blue, it depends, because retirement means no Ophidian, which means less Pulse Wave, guaranteed. Lois Lane is always going to be there because she's really good, but, like, top threes, you know.
I believe Hat will have his day in the sun when people figure out a way to utilize him well.
Yep. Yeah, I can see Hat doing well in the limited format. He's 45 points, capable of bringing a lot of support powers that you don't need actions for at the cost of a power action. In a lot of cases, you can afford that. So he's definitely been a figure I've been considering on some Faust teams as well.
He's a nice little pick through.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know what? It was the weirdest thing, an observation I made is, for as many big brick house characters as there were in the Superman and Wonder Woman set, there's a lot of really good stuff in the below 100 points value.
Oh, tons. Well, that's, remember when
50
we were
and below, too, even.
Sorry, what were you saying, Tom?
I was just saying, when you looked over the stats, that was very much what we saw, was that it was the well below 100 that seemed to have a boom in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, you were going to say, Jay? Oh, look at all the orbs. The fire.
Yeah, everybody with energy balls behind them, basically, is the concept here.
What about John there's also John Constantine and Two-Face, if they count, because they have things. Shut up.
They're not. They're not beside me at the moment.
No, but as far as things go, what's the question?
What figs do you think will be used most often in the meta from Superman Wonder Woman?
Oh yeah, there's also even a lot of 50 and below, because Superman Blue, Lois Lane, General Lane, Hat. It's like a lot of stuff at that low points.
Yeah. So look to the low end and beside things. Now I can't go without recognizing that Chris Stockhouse did ask a question, but his question was with regards to the double Nick Fury team. Am I correct in my assumption that Highfather's Pact does nothing against the double Balls of Fury? That'd be, of course, the double instance of Nick Fury, and yes, that because of the way they rule the Highfather's ability, it won't be able to target when you have two characters sharing the highest value. So I'm struggling to find a way to not get shot at by double Nick in limited. There's Jason of Sparta, but that only helps for one turn, and the only other way to win map is to put them on blocking heavy maps. If the game's coming down to winning the map roll, I think we have a problem here. So yeah, as we discussed, it's something to consider, but there's ways around it, and I've seen a couple of them.
I give an answer.
And at the moment, Jason Sparta isn't one of them, Chris, so
No.
keep that in mind.
Jason Sparta is not one of them, unfortunately.
I think my answer is the best answer, and that's Blackout, because, the only free barrier in the format.
I don't know, sometimes you just gotta keep it low-key.
Huh?
That was subtle.
Sometimes you have to keep it Shatterstar.
Is there any way with Battle Fury that's at a low point value that Shatterstar can bring along with him?
I wish Hellcat, but Hellcat is exactly one too many points.
Oh, she's 70. She's 70. Oh, it's got to be lower, right? So she is 73 along with him, right?
But what does the paranormal act?
He sets off shape changes and stealth, and he's 40 points.
Exactly. So that's basically have Shatterstar.
But then the problem is that you need. Well, I guess if you're Black Taloning to get Shatterstar to power action and then to attack, I guess that works somewhat.
Still, and also,
you still need to hit, and then with a prob, and the 7 can hit, but the prob, but then you need to roll blades, and he has toughness, so you're going to roll the 1, then you're going to cry.
Well, I
think you'll be able to want to have a prob on that.
Let me see. Here's what I came up with. It was Black Swan with obviously carrying an ultra heavy.
Obviously Black Swan.
Yep, obviously Black Swan carrying an ultra heavy, along with Mercy, so that she can TK him into position. The idea was that the paranormal investigator moves forward. Mercy TKs Black Swan forward. Oh, actually, sorry. In the first turn, paranormal activity moves forward. Then you clear. Next turn, Mercy uses TK. Shatterstar pops across the board with Mercy. Black Swan pops across the board with the paranormal investigator. And now in the same area, you're shutting down stealth and shape change. You've got prob, and Black Swan's attacking, trying to do 7 damage with an 11 attack with prob. That was the idea.
That is an idea.
It's not a bad assassinate one Nick Fury strategy.
Yep.
It's going to be fine. Not paranormal.
It had to
activity.
involve Black Swan. Because you are nothing without Black Swan.
I love Black Swan. But anyway, that would work for like 1 attack. But if you miss it, then your team falls apart quickly.
You biscuit for biscuits.
Yeah. But I wish there was there's a way to carry 2 empowers with the X portal and be like, hey, what's up?
I'm sure there is a way, but you have to use 2 X portals. Double Shatterstar is perfectly effective.
Mixie's also an effective way to shut down shape change, given that you have a 4 out of 6 odds of rolling what you need to get rid of the shape change roll.
Yep.
Or you can even turn around that. If you roll too high, you can turn around the terrible blades roll that you just made.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, that said, Rick Sasser asked, "Do you feel Nick Fury should be errated to be considered unique?" We already mentioned that. No, but it's tough. It's tough to play around him. I think the consensus we have. Charles L. Franklin asks, "Have any of you played the full Hulkbuster Mark II, and is it any good?" Yes and no.
Yep, yes and no. That pretty much answers it. It's fun. What do you like when you're going into a 500-point game with a 500-point figure? Then I hope that you're playing for fun, because if you're playing for profit, that's usually not the best bet to put all those eggs into that one rather fragile basket. Doesn't work out as well as you might think it does at 500 points, but it's pretty fun.
Jake?
I've never played against it, and I don't have it, so I can't answer that question.
I have played against it with the Nick Fury going toe-to-toe with the 500-point version. Yeah, it's not that good. It's not that good. But then again, that's an answer of Nick Fury, right? I mean,
he is a cosmic assassin in that one.
Yeah. So that's a thing that occurred.
So Hulk hired Nick Fury to watch his back as his bodyguard against the Hulkbuster?
Makes sense.
Actually,
it's not like the Hulkbuster. The Hulk just beats the Hulkbuster every time it shows in the comics anyway, so he needed extra insurance.
Yeah. At the time, the team that I was playing, it was one of our table games. I was the 1,200-point team against 2 600-point teams, and I had what I had was vehicles and their pilots. So I had a Hawkeye with I had acquired all the vehicles, and I gave their keynote pilots to each of the vehicles. Cap's motorcycle was driven by a Captain America. Nick Fury had his space rig, Kang was in his time chair. Thanos was in his chair. And really, the Nick Fury, Sean, really far. This is my first time using Nick Fury. We had just got the set, and we were just trying our new things. And this is how we find out that maybe it's not a good idea to play certain figures at certain times. So these things often happen by accident. We all kind of look and go, we're never going to bring that character to the table again. Yeah. All right. I have no other questions, so if there's no other topics, Tom?
That's all we got for me.
That's all we got for you. Jake?
I like to think that I talk enough, so I'm just going to end it now.
All right. With that said, then, on our way out, let's not forget the guys that help us make this popular, hcatlas.com. Check out their site and subscribe for a $25 a month. You get some really cool maps using the awesome materials that you see from the ROC Winna maps, super qualifiers, that kind of. I believe it's called a neoprene map. We're gonna be seeing them very shortly. I should have them on hand very soon to actually give you a nice little description of how wonderful they feel and how awesome they look. The first map is going to be Gettysburg. It's a great chance to try out those Civil War themed teams.
Also, for everyone out there on the internet land that wants to record themselves playing a match, note that the neoprene has way less glare than paper,
which is an important element for us who like to play on, under lamps, etc. Mm-hmm. As well, we are brought to you in part by hcrealms.com. Check out the shop tab while you're sorting through the unit section, while you're checking out the forums. Although I would advise less about the forums. And check out the shop. Buy some cool stuff, and on your way out, get 10% off with the coupon code MARRIED. As well, our longtime sponsor is back up and running, majestics-ccg.com/apex-predators, to check out their premium site with some premium articles. Mine should be up by the end of the week, and it's going to be an article on getting your mind into the meta, or into the meta mindset. With that said, guys, thank you for watching us live. If you're watching us live, if you're watching us in the archive, we love you just as much. And as always, we come out of here from the Meta Lab, reminding us that practice
makes
internet died your
team
better.
Nice.
Jay's internet died at the worst possible time. Have a good night, folks.
Good night.